Every week, we meet parents who are exhausted from trying everything. They've done behavior charts, they've done dietary changes, they've been to various therapists, but their child still struggles with transitions, sleeplessness, and that constant sensory overload. Now, when they seek answers, they get labels. They get told your child has ADHD, they have anxiety, maybe even they have autism spectrum disorder. These labels accumulate alongside appointments and bills, but no one addresses the true issue here: a nervous system stuck in a chronically stressful state. And it's often referred to as busy brain syndrome. Today, we're going to explore what that is, why it occurs, and how to address it. So, if you're a parent who's dealing with a child who seems both wired and exhausted at the same time, when they melt down over small things, they can't sleep, they struggle in school, and who every single therapy appointment feels like one step forward, but then two steps backwards, you're not imagining it, and you are 100% not alone. Today, we're breaking down busy brain syndrome, what it is, and why it's a nervous system regulation issue, not simply a behavior problem. We're going to walk you through the three phases of what we call the perfect storm that wires this pattern into your child's nervous system before they ever start school, and how it shows up in those challenges with sleep, speech, that emotional volatility, and those constant sensory struggles. And finally, we're going to explain why therapies often plateau and what shifting happens when you address the neurological foundation first. Because stress is really what we're focusing on. It's not a miracle when these things work, because research shows us that maternal cortisol, which is a stress hormone, it actually crosses the placental barrier and it directly affects how a baby's brain structure forms. Now, if we have elevated prenatal stress, that's also associated with an increased risk for behavioral and emotional challenges in children. The nervous system dysfunction often begins before the child's even born. So, what is busy brain syndrome? When your child's nervous system really has these two modes built into it, and we like talking about it in terms of a gas pedal and a brake pedal. Now, the gas pedal is the sympathetic nervous system. Now, this controls fight or flight, and it's really designed to be used in short bursts. This is not an all day long operation. Now, the brake pedal, on the other hand, is the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, this helps your child calm down, helps them sleep, process their emotions, heal, connect. All of that is so important, and it is controlled largely by the vagus nerve. Now, in these kids with busy brain syndrome, that sympathetic gas pedal is stuck to the floor. The sympathetic system is firing constantly, and this is keeping the child stuck in a chronic state of alert and reactivity. Their sensory threshold is dramatically lower than other kids in their class, and things that feel minor to you, they are genuinely overwhelming to them because their nervous system is already stuck at capacity. So we talked about the perfect storm early in this video. Let me go into those pieces. There's really three pieces. There's prenatal stress, there's birth trauma, and there's early childhood stressors. Now, when we say prenatal stress, that really deals a lot with that maternal cortisol. That changes fetal brain structure and increases the risk for these behavioral issues. When we talk about birth trauma, we're looking at interventions during delivery, forceps, vacuum extractions, C-sections. All of those can impact the vagus nerve, and it leads to a nervous system that is stuck in a dysfunctional state from day one. And then we have early childhood stressors. When we have additional stressors like antibiotics, we have ear infections, we have excessive screen time, and we have the inevitable chaotic environment that the home can sometimes become. This is an already compromised nervous system that cannot keep pace with that. So when you're kind of sitting here wondering, are you talking about my child? Well, let's talk about some of the things you look for when this might be your child. Some of the categories we talk about is sleep challenges, speech and communication, emotional dysregulation, sensory overload, and social development. So when we talk about sleep challenges, that one's easy. Kids that struggle to wind down, they're tossing, they're turning, they have racing thoughts, they're waking up frequently. That really speaks to that busy brain syndrome in this sleep category. Now, as far as speech and communication, it really requires some executive functions to be able to filter through the distractions that we deal with day to day. But if the nervous system is overwhelmed by stress, that sensory input, then these kids really lack the capacity to have that higher level communication. Now, a big one is emotional dysregulation. Children have severe meltdowns over minor issues, and they really experience these long recovery times after they're upset to be able to regulate themselves back down. Their inability to calm down, it's not just drama, their brain cannot de-escalate the situation. Now, a lot of that is also tied to sensory overload. Now, kids, you might see them covering their ears, they avoid certain textures, they seek intense physical inputs like crashing and jumping as coping strategies for a nervous system that is just rattled at all times. And all of that to say social development is in survival mode. Because if the brain is prioritizing fight or flight, everything that the body is needing to do in terms of reading social cues, building relationships, the dysregulated nervous system never allows these things to happen. So we also talked about why there's a lot of therapies available today, but why sometimes we see these plateau. So OT, speech therapy, behavioral interventions, these are really valuable tools. We refer out to these individuals on a regular basis. We are not here to replace them. But when the nervous system is stuck in fight or flight, those therapies are working against a foundational problem. If you think about it this way, you cannot remodel a house if it's a cracked foundation because you're ultimately building off of something that is unstable in the first place. Now, neurologically focused chiropractic care, we use insight scans to objectively measure how much stress and tension is locked in your child's nervous system in the first place and where exactly we might be creating that interference. Through our gentle adjustments, we specifically focus on parts of the nervous system that are most vulnerable to help them restore proper communication between the brain and body. Subluxation is a combination of stuck joints, but more importantly, it's neurological interference that disrupts that brain body communication. When the foundation gets addressed, everything built on top of it works better. We hear that from our OTs, our PTs, our speech therapists, our behavioral therapists, all of the work they're doing that is so critically important, they accelerate so much faster when we build off of a good foundation. So if your child is stuck in this cycle, the meltdowns, the sleepless nights, the sensory struggles, therapy plateaus, you don't have to accept that as the permanent version of normal for you. There is a path forward, and it starts with a strong foundation. We're not asking you to give anything up that you're already doing. We're asking you to look at what might be underneath all of it in the first place. At Pure Chiropractic, we use neurologically focused care to find where that stress is locked in, measure it objectively, and help your child's nervous system find its way back to calm so that every other therapy and strategy you're doing can have the best possible chance of working. If you want more information, click the link in our bio, DM us, or you can schedule directly off of our website. Your child doesn't need more labels, they need answers. We look forward to seeing you soon.